The biggest risk a person can take is to do nothing. This quote hit me quite hard a couple of years back because I felt like just that person doing that. And when I looked around, I noticed that there were so many medics who felt the exact same way. In fact, 21% of medics are considering leaving the profession, with many leaving the country altogether. A lot of medics like me are lost because you've lost that motivation and that energy that they so passionately voiced during their med school interviews. So something here clearly had to change. So Yasmin, my wonderful co-founder, and myself created a solution to countering. More Than Medics, a national non-profit that helps medics find out where their passions lie. We help to answer questions that I have and still have, like, how do I become a military doctor? What does it take to become one of these crazy doctors who go up in helicopters? Or how do I become a proffering good fellow and help lead a medical school? How do I effectively start a business in healthcare? How do I get involved in medtech, entrepreneurship, research, leadership, medical education, policy, public health, medical humanities? All of these things I wanted to explore, but there was no easy and accessible place to explore it. So that's exactly what we've created. We do a whole variety of things, but ultimately our main goal is to help medics find their passion. We've had a lot of support and it's been overwhelming, but the most special thing has been hearing those stories of how it inspired you. Maybe it was through our podcast, maybe it was through sharing career avenues or opportunities that they just wouldn't have gone through to otherwise. Objectively speaking though, creating all of this has been really hard work. But here's my point, not a second has felt like it. And that's because I found something that I'm really passionate about. This project has energized me, motivated me, and given me a sense of passion to create impact in my own way. And I think Steve Jobs over here would agree with me when I say that everyone here can have that and find that passion if you haven't already. Something that really energizes you. Oftentimes, it just requires that first step. And so I realise I'm in the embryological stages of my career and still have so much to learn, but I wanted to share some of the key learnings from my journey so far. Things that helped me to take that first step, and hopefully some will resonate with you. Don't let your own cycle limit you. I think we all do this to some extent. We have a sort of subconscious idea of what is and what isn't possible. And I think far too often we downplay our potential. I know I did. Running More Than Medics has allowed me to meet some really awesome people, leaders in the NHS, founders of organisations. And what I've realised just from speaking to them is that they're just like you and me. They're ordinary people who have done extraordinary things. And it made me realise, myself, us here today, are also ordinary, yet capable of extraordinary things. And that simple realisation has helped me to sort of lift that psychological barrier that I've got myself and affirmed that I do have what it takes, as does everyone here today. Remember, or indeed discover what success looks like for you. Of course, you've seen a lot of success here today, but success isn't always a shiny medal or externally visible. I would say that I didn't get a prize today. But I'm a big believer that enjoyment equals efficiency. And the key theme cropping up on our podcast with clinicians who lead careers they love is that in every activity they do, they try to tailor it back to what they individually value. So what's important to them. Stephen Covey here coined the saying, begin with the end in mind. And it was immediately apparent to me, this is so important. Without knowing what fulfills us or where we ultimately want to go or what we ultimately want to achieve, how can we then expect to take the relevant steps to get there? And so I encourage everyone here to not only look externally for opportunities, but also internally. Reevaluate, what do you individually value? What energizes and fulfills you as a person? And it'll look different for everyone here today, but if we use that as a frame of reference, then we have a much better chance of achieving that end that we have in mind. Finally, I want to encourage everyone here to try something new. I tried something new starting More Than Medics, and it was one of the best decisions. So maybe in our professional lives that looks like actioning that project that you've been thinking about. Or maybe it's exploring that course or that role that you've been eyeing up. I'd say go for it. I did. You really can't lose. It will only ever lead to more learning and growth. And then how can this apply more generally? Well, research and just common sense show that if you diversify what you do, if you do lots of different things, then you improve your psychological well-being and your cognitive function. So maybe that looks like getting back into that sport that you really enjoyed, or it's restarting that hobby that you've fallen away from, because having that variety is so important. But what happens if we don't take that first step? If we defer it for another day? Well, the most common regret that people have at the end of their lives is seeing that many of their dreams went unfulfilled. Quite a scary thought. And it's easy for me to stand up here and say, follow your dreams, take that first step, but in reality, it can be tremendously difficult to do. It requires a massive amount of sacrifice, hardship, and fortitude. But when that end does come for us, let's look back, knowing we left no stone unturned. We faced our fears, pushed ourselves to our limits, and made the most of the incredible talent in this room. And so, award winner or not today, take that first step. Don't wait, because the biggest risk a person can take is to do that. Thank you.